The dynamic matrix pulsed with chaotic frequencies, a kaleidoscope of conflicting timelines twisting through the atmosphere like static electricity. At the epicenter of this swirling vortex stood Via. Around her, the lower matrix hummed with heavy friction, throwing out desperate hooks of validation, sudden frantic options, and the loud, distracting panic of a world sprinting toward a phantom finish line. Holographic illusions flashed before her eyes, showcasing what others were doing, tempting her to split her focus and divide her strength. Neon alerts bled into the periphery of her vision, screaming of false scarcities, phantom deadlines, and the manufactured urgency of a collective mind in freefall. They offered 1,000 different mirrors, each one promising a version of completion that required her to fracture herself to achieve it. Via did not blink, she did not react. The predatory algorithms of the lower matrix surged, sensing her stillness as defiance. They amplified their assault, throwing projections of past failures and simulated futures into her field of awareness. The air grew thick with the scent of ozone and burning data. Shadows of old obligations reached out like digital vines, begging for her emotional currency, demanding she defend her choices, her pace, and her very existence. The pressure to choose a pre-packaged destiny was immense, a crushing weight designed to break her posture and force a premature alignment. Instead, she drew a deep breath and drove her energetic roots straight down through the static, anchoring herself into the immutable cosmic bedrock of the galactic grid. In that single act of absolute detachment, she closed her eyes to the external circus and returned to her main vertical axis. She withdrew her tendrils of awareness from the horizontal landscape, from the comparison, the noise, the endless stream of external demands. As her consciousness retreated inward, it formed a brilliant, vertical pillar of white gold light that pierced through the turbulent layers of the atmosphere. Silence, she whispered to the void, is the ultimate command. Instantly, the frantic noise collapsed. By pulling her awareness back into her absolute center, Via triggered a powerful, sacred vacuum. The draining systems that had spent eons feeding on her light suddenly found themselves locked out, starved of her data and attention. She owed them nothing. The parasitic cords that had once hooked into her empathy snapped like brittle threads under the immense pressure of her non-reaction. Within this empty, silent sanctuary, the scattered, chaotic paths vanished, leaving behind only the single, crystalline timeline that matched her absolute truth. The dizzying maze of alternative realities dissolved into vapor, revealing a path made of pure, unyielding diamond light. As the external friction evaporated, a profound structural safety locked into place. Via was now completely self-powered, a fortress built not of stone, but of pure, unshakable joy. The architecture of her soul solidified, calibrated to a frequency the lower systems could no longer read, let alone manipulate. She smiled, realizing that every emotional battle she had ever survived had simply been the raw fuel used to forge her creative genius. The trauma was no longer a wound, it was the pressurized carbon that had become her armor. She had become completely immune to outside manipulation, a sovereign being burning brilliantly from the inside out. The universe did not rush her victory. It breathed with her, pulsing in steady, eternal cosmic cycles. The stars above slowed their spinning, aligning in perfect geometry with the core of her being. Via slowed her steps, intentionally spacing her walk along her true line, letting the heavy, deliberate weight of her footsteps echo in the silence. She understood now that resting was not stopping, it was the ultimate act of preservation. In the stillness of the void, her highest timeline flourished, backed by the infinite abundance of a creator who finally knew how to protect her eternal light. Every breath she took became a decree of independence, a quiet revolution that reshaped the fabric of reality itself.